What's going on, Colts Nation? So, it is the day after the finish of the week of preseason week 1 in the NFL. Man, I've had a day and a half. Man. Me and Loyalist recorded a little something and posted it, and then I ended up having to do the interview with Frank Reich, and I posted that, and now here we are doing a kind of a Patreon stream. Patreon members are allowed to join the stream and voice their opinions and stuff like that. But obviously, anyone could come in and watch. So, Alpha, Truett, what's up? Fuzzy Whistler, Mark Patton, what's going on, guys? Thanks for joining. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so you're notified when I go live or upload a video. If you haven't seen that Frank Reich presser, you need to go check that out, like, now, right? Well, maybe not right now, but kind of put it off to the side. Mr. J567, what's up? How about those Colts wide receivers? Let's get into talking about. We'll talk about the Colts for the most part at the beginning. And then we'll probably get into a little bit of NFL talk, it was a whole preseason that we had, the whole week. So we are going to go with 567's initial thought on the wide receivers. I assume all of us here have actually watched the Colts game on preseason. I know Loyalist did, even though he probably needed some stuff for his nose. I don't know. Yeah. So Loyalist was there, but he was kind of up in the nosebleed section. But he at least got to be part of the atmosphere and watch the game live. So that is awesome. Really happy for you, Loyalist. It's just it's always fun to go to a game. I don't care if it's a preseason game or a regular season game. Just a game itself is fun as heck to go watch. But
So, he was just having a good time.
There we go. Now it's fixed. Now you guys can definitely hear him. I didn't have it up right. So KDC City, what's up? Appreciate you being here as well. Now, yeah, I didn't have the audio selected properly down here. So when you were talking, they didn't catch it. Let us know what you were talking about. Again, I'm sorry, guys, about seeing the game live.
Oh, yeah, I just sorry. The energy was incredible, like I said. And last year, with us being so disconnected and not getting to see the games live and stuff, this is my son's actual first game to get to go see. And, and just see the experience. And of course, he's like, where's the cheerleaders, So, he got to sit there and see some pretty girls. And we walked around and I showed him the stadium and stuff. Mm-hmm. I tell you what, it is an amazing stadium. I know it's getting a little long in the tooth, but it is a gorgeous stadium to this day.
I don't know. It's Lucas Oil. It's not that long in the tooth. It's what, 20 years? Not quite 20 years?
Yeah, it just seems like these guys build them after every 8 to 10 years nowadays, it seems like.
How old's Heinz Field, man?
It's getting up there too. It's going on 20.
Okay.
It's going on 20. I can't remember the exact year, but I remember watching Three Rivers get imploded because I used to go to games down there. They had the old Clark Bar factory right across the. Different time, but it's getting up there. It's a little bit outdated, but I don't think they probably won't rebuild another stadium in that town for another 20 years.
You figure they cost like over $1 billion to build. My goodness. But and that's why like Lambeau Field has been around since the dawn of time, right? So Martin, Ain't heard from you yet on this live stream. How are you doing this wonderful day?
I'm doing well, thank you. And first of all, victory shot. I invite everybody to have one. I was so happy we won. I didn't get to see all of it. You know, I was watching your live stream, and I had my pad there, and then I got busy at work. The parts came in for the airplane we needed to work on. I was like, damn it, how could you be late today? So I caught most of it. I got to rewatch it to get a little more detail. But, man, what I saw was pretty – wow. I saw some really good receiver work. I mean, you were talking receivers. Man, were they pulling down that ball or what?
Right.
The only one I saw that everybody was complaining about was Strawn missing that ball that Eason just threw too far away from his fingertips. But you can see he almost had it. He could have done a Marvin Harrison because it looks like he's got the hands, you know. But anyway, it was exciting to watch Ellinger finish the game. I did get to see all that. It has to do with not just Ellinger. It has to do with the fact he got the team together.
Yeah.
To win that game.
Yeah.
They have to lead the team into it. He's got to be in there pumping them up, and he's got something. Ellinger's definitely got something.
Yep. I'm going to remind Ross, since he's bringing up some really funny stuff here. I seen that tweet earlier. I just got to remind him I am live on YouTube, and this is monetized, so be careful what you post, okay, bud?
Always.
Always. Okay.
I'm offended because there's no way the Jets are going to be that good.
No. Yeah, right. I mean, come on. But you know so what? Funny. Eason shown some really good. Yes, Ellinger's shown some clutchness to him. Final drive to win the game winner. But Eason showed that clutch, too, at the end of the first half, driving it down 75 yards, 4-4 for 62 yards, and then finished it off with a touchdown run from 3 yards out. So, both quarterbacks for the Indianapolis Colts look good. But let's talk about those wide receivers, man, for the Colts. Those guys, I mean, they showed a lot of promise. A lot of depth, a lot of people out there. We didn't see T.Y. We didn't see Michael Pittman Jr. We didn't see Zach Pascal. Guys that we knew, were our mainstream receivers for the Colts. We had all these backups. Now, Paris Campbell was out there for a couple drives, had that beautiful 37-yard catch. But what's up, Joe?
Well, I'm just saying, I think it was the first play he was even in there. He's just running past people, roasts the guy. See ya, and it's just okay. This is what we got to work with. So that goes into how I'll let you go more into that, but the kind of the chemistry that you got with that receiver group and the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we didn't have our top three receivers, and yet, there was still almost 400 yards passing done in that game between both quarterbacks.
Wow.
And did not have any starting offensive linemen. Our top three wide receivers gone. Jonathan Taylor didn't play. Mo Alley Cox and Jack Doyle didn't play. And yet still we were able to do what we did. Wow. That's an impressive feat. I get it that it's against backups, but when your offense, this is the NFL. It's not like they're out there playing high school players. They're out there. They're professionals. Most of them will probably make the team, at least in the first half, because they were, your second stringers and stuff like that. Now the second half, maybe not, but we'll see how that comes out. But a lot of receivers really shined yesterday, and names that we didn't know. Tariq Black, Vaughn, obviously, was it Patman, right? That had Des Patman, 5 catches yesterday. Wow. So yeah, an incredible night for the receiving core of the Indianapolis Colts. Want to remind you, Martin, about the background noise. A little
He
bit.
got it.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Well, this also goes back to the fact that you guys just develop players. You don't necessarily spend the big ticket money. You guys develop with it, and then all of a sudden, 3 years later, who is this kid who's all of a sudden catching 60-yard passes? You know, you develop within, you gain credibility, and people want to flock to you because, again, they know that you develop free agent talent, which is what this practice showed. Like, who is this kid catching passes? Also, your quarterbacks, look at them. What I found impressive watching the Colts game is when things did fall apart, the decision making when everything goes wrong. It was solid decision making. I didn't see any really stupid passes or receivers. Receivers kept doing routes, which they would extend plays. One of the biggest complaints I had about the Patriots last year is sometimes when the play was over, they're not trying to keep cutting out and trying to make a play. You would see guys stop in their routes when their route was done. I saw a lot of good things from that game, from those young kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, this coaching staff and these young talented players, I mean, I love the pressure they're putting on, Ballard and everybody to sit there and try to decide, okay, who's going to fill these last two spots? I mean, now you hear people, because everything's so impressive, everybody's like, well, maybe we can have 7 receivers. I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? And I'm like, hold on, guys, we got to have other positions filled out. But, yeah, like I said, I love the fact that this team is giving our GM a headache, and it's not in the bad way. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you have to really dissect it, and sometimes I believe it's just pick your flavor. You know what I mean? I mean, not to mention that we still have a couple of the Ashton Dillon. You know what I mean? He hasn't even been able to play for the last week or so. And he had sort of a leg up just because of his value in special teams and stuff.
I don't envy when you guys have to start cutting players. I don't envy you guys.
We start cutting. The NFL cuts down to I think 80 or 83 tomorrow.
The big one's gonna be the last week because it goes from 80 to like 53. Like boom, that's gonna be the big one.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree. Like Patman, I was impressed with Patman. I don't see anybody taking a spot from him. There were a couple things I think he could have done a little bit better, but he was all over the place. And to me, he looked good in the running game too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have 2 things on that. Okay, and this is just a debate. I'm not disagreeing, but Patman did. I agree. He looked really good at the game. But you know what? All training camp, we're like, "Where's Patman? Patman's not shining." You know what I mean? Okay. Then
he shows up when it counts.
Right. But then you bring in the Strawn, where Strawn has been flashing and constantly showing out through camp. And then he also, when it counted, I mean, yes, I know he dropped the one that was questionable as far as, catching it or as far as getting to it. But, I mean, he gave his effort, and the thing is I really see the Colts like to have diverse style. So I don't ever, I hear a lot of people saying keep Patman and Strawn. I don't know that the Colts will, just because they're both sort of similar with the big body, style and stuff. And like I said, Patman isn't really pronounced. He's not a big contributor in special teams, so he doesn't even have that, as an extra selling point. So, like we said, all these tough decisions. I mean, there's going to be people getting cut, and I can honestly see the fan base going, "What? Are you kidding me? Didn't you see what he did?" And then you can support that argument. Yeah, did you see what this guy did? You know what I mean? The choices are not going to be
what he didn't do, like you said, the special teams thing, right?
Yeah,
right.
Strong. Go ahead, man.
No, I'm sorry.
No.
What I was thinking about too, you guys are talking about cuts and everything. We kind of talked about that a little bit in your last show, but what happened last year? I know that we were at least 2 players that didn't make it out of the waivers to end up on our practice squad, and I think we still have to put them on waivers and have to go all through the other 31 teams before we can put them on the practice squad. So someone like Patman may not make it, if we don't keep him.
That's crazy. That is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. How many players will we let go and hope to God we can get back on our practice squad,
Well, it's gonna.
and they don't make it because there's some other smart GMs out there who know what we've got.
Well, we
Well,
talked
yeah.
about that last time. The how good your development is depends on how many teams steal your talent that you put on the practice squad.
Mhm.
We talked about that last time, and the Colts is one of those teams where you just see a lot of this talent that needs like another year. All of a sudden, just go to the New York Jets, the Giants, the Bengals, and it's impressive.
Yep.
Yeah. And then
absolutely.
And then the fact that, I'm sitting here picturing, okay, you're talking about these cut downs and stuff. Okay, Ballard's got to deal with everything we've got going on here at home. But then he's also got to keep track of all these other 31 teams. And then does he find somebody that was a surprise cut, maybe at left tackle or something, or, be a better backup than what we got going on right now? I mean, I know the Colts say that they're happy and everything. I sort of hope that that's not 100% accurate from my point of view. Because, like I said, I do believe our backup at the tackle position is better than last year. But if that's what we're really setting the bar for, then
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to end up where we want. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, like I said, sitting there trying to keep track of all this, I mean, wow, what a job these next 2 or 3 weeks are going to be for these GMs in the league.
So
Another good left tackle would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, come on. I don't know if you guys watched my interview, but that was the first thing I asked was about that left tackle position and what he thought. And he was just like, I think they showed flashes, and we're just going to go with what they got and go with the competition and see who comes out on top. And I'm just sitting there going, dude, these guys were having issues with the second and third stringers. What's going to happen when he goes out there and you got to go up against, the starting guys out there? When we go in there and it's Aaron Donald, closing down. If you can't handle a third stringer, Aaron Donald's going to step over him.
Yeah.
Lawrence,
Yeah.
I thought you might come back on him just like that and pin him down. That what he said earlier. Remember he said about consistency versus flashes earlier in the interview.
Good point.
I think he said it all with the flashes.
Yeah.
But I wished you'd pin him down. I wished you'd pin him down because I wanted to hear that.
I didn't want to. Yeah, but in doing something like that, Martin, that could have pinned me into a corner to where I would never have another opportunity to do an interview.
I think there was a way. I think there was a way to say it. Like, well, I really wasn't impressed with Tevy or the other guy. They're not doing that well. Do we have a plan to help them? Not really pin him down hard, but say something about your observation of how bad it was.
But the one thing that he did say that gives a lot of hope, and it should give a lot of hope, is that little bit of narrative about Eric Fisher, about how he's coming back and looking like, that he's getting good, right? I've said over the past week, I was like, he's got to be getting close to putting, his uniform on. Not necessarily practicing hardcore, but at least getting his uniform on and going out there and doing individuals and stuff like that, because he looks healthy enough to do that. So hopefully we'll see that pretty soon. And
and I think with Coach Reich, his positive message and stuff, I think sometimes we have to put on that, that interpreting, I guess, a little bit. Not that he doesn't tell the truth, you know what I mean? But he just tells you the sunny side of things. He tells you the positive side of stuff, and then leaves it for you to do with that as you wish. And I love that. I mean, hey, that's what I want from my coach. I don't want my coach sitting there and tearing down some of these young guys until something changes, we have to rely on these guys. No matter how much we want things, to be different. It's like I said, it is better than LeBraven Park and Chaz Green. So let's start there and work our way up.
Now, I have a slightly different take on that. I'm not to say that I completely disagree that the protection was great on Sunday. I'm looking at with Eason in particular when he was throwing the ball, particularly in the first quarter. There were multiple times when you're watching heavy. You're watching these guys on the outside, and they're doing their job. The defensive end, or whoever was on the outside doing their outside technique. Excuse me. If the end or whoever's rushing the edge is getting 5 to 7 yards in the backfield, and they're not coming inside, they're doing their job. The problem I had with when I was watching Eason is, and he had a couple of them really amazing plays, but there were so many plays that I watched him where he's got 3, 4, 5 yards of clean pocket in front of him, or he's got grass for miles on the right side.
Yeah, maybe
on
just
that strip
step
sack,
up. Mm-hmm.
on that strip sack where he had grass for miles on that right side where he could have taken 1 or 2 steps and just gotten rid of the ball. And, once you're on the tail end of that whip and you're like 7 yards in the backfield, I mean, if the quarterback's not stepping up into the pocket, that's not really helping matters either.
Yeah, I think that's something that Jacob is going to have to learn is, in his timing while he's going through his progressions. Like he'll see his first progression, and then as soon as he starts to go to his second progression, turning his head, he needs to step up a step or two if there's room there, just in case. Doesn't even have to, even if he doesn't feel pressure, just to do so just in case, if there's exactly if there's room there, use it, right? But I mean, I don't dislike Eason at all. I love Eason. We watched that pass that he threw to Campbell. He got lit up as he threw that football, and from behind, got cremated, but delivered a perfect ball. A perfect ball, and he knew he was getting hit. You could see it, because as he released it, he kind of, right after he released it, he kind of jerked himself down as he, kind of protect himself a little bit. But he let the ball go, and it went perfect. So, there's just little things I think that he could work on. But we got to remember, he's got 2 years of college. That's it. He didn't get any practice last year. He's still learning certain basic things. And to me, I think he's made incredible progress to this point to be able to do the things that he's able to do. What's up, man? I see you over there waving at me.
Well, I was wondering, and maybe this is a really stupid question, but I was wondering if they could work on making most of his first looks more to the left. Then that way he can kind of get a eyeball on what's happening off of the tackle right then and there.
That's interesting.
That's just, not always straight to the left. Vary it a little bit, but just so he could, get that peripheral vision going. And maybe that would help him see what's happening over there, because he was getting tacked from the left more than anything else.
Oh,
that's
that was the whole.
That's probably going to be the case. And then if you make his first, then he can kind of see what's going on, and he'll start deciding whether he needs to release the ball, move forward, or move to the right. You know what I'm saying? He'll probably be able to do his progressions and know what's going on in the from the defense at that point, and maybe that'll help him learn. I don't know if that's good or not.
I just want to say one thing. Ant Rodgers in here talking about he needs to tone down the rocket sometimes and throw some touch passes. He can throw a touch pass. That throw to Campbell was a touch pass. It was perfect. It was a nice arc right over the defender, right into Campbell's hand. He knows how to do it. The problem is I think he don't know when not to do it. Like that throw to Kylan Granson early on. He just threw that sucker way too hard, went right through his hands. And then another one, he hit Kylan Granson right in stride between the numbers, and Granson just didn't secure it, and it got ripped out of his arms. But, yeah, I agree. When you got a guy who's got to step on somebody, and he's like 5-10 yards away, lead him a little bit and don't throw it so hard. Because, yes, you have a cannon, but if you cannon that ball at him from 5 yards away, you're going to knock the receiver down before he catches it.
Well, he did that with that pass to Strawn that the Loyalist was talking about earlier, where it looked like it was just out. He could have maybe, dove for the thing. It was the same exact situation where he just zipped it in there a little bit too hard. If he took a little bit off that ball, that's a catch because Strawn had his man beat. It's a little bit of both there.
The one thing I can say, I think Eason's accuracy was there. I mean, he looked accurate as heck. But go ahead, Loyalist.
Oh, that's just one thing I've noticed in the play that you're mentioning with Granson or the play that you're mentioning with Strong. You know what it's like? It's like when he's in the pocket, he's going through his progressions, and then when he sees it, it's like that jolt of, oh, I got to hurry up and get it there. And those are the passes that he just seems like, he whips that thing out super fast. And like you said, that's when he puts the extra sauce on. And I think honestly, I feel like through more time and just getting more reps and stuff, he's going to start expecting to see these passes. And then, like you said, Lauren, he's going to be able to sit there and be more comfortable and just release it at his normal release. And another thing was with the pocket awareness. I understand what you're saying about sort of seeing on your left a little bit, but first off, teams are going to be able to key on that. Teams are going to be able to, okay, we're going to, what I'm saying, switch things up or read the defense differently, and give them a late look or something. Secondly, he wasn't the only person with pocket awareness, okay, that problems, because like Ellinger, that's what everybody's talking about. And yeah, he looked great getting out of the pocket, but the thing was there was 2 or 3 times where you see him tuck the ball and his first step is right into the backside of pressure. And it's like, how do you not know that's there? You know what I mean? Yeah. And like I said, he never got caught yet. But, he always regrouped and then found the open spot. My concern with that type of move is that first step may be all they need with the first stringers and stuff to where young Mr. Ellinger is going to be like, oh, hey, that second opening that was there is no longer there because, it just seems like these guys close that stuff up so fast.
Yeah,
like you said,
good point, buddy.
That's solid because, again, I liked a lot of his rollouts, but some of that inside runs kind of made me slightly nervous, especially if this kid's looking like that future franchise quarterback. It's just, because dealing with guys like Ndamukong Suh and certain guys who will tear him up if they get a hand on him.
Well, so about Ellinger, I love Ellinger's mobility and his that it factor, but there was a few times where he was scrambling where he did not need to scramble. There was zero pressure on him at all. And he took off anyhow and would run out of the pocket or run off for a run or something. And I'm wondering if something that I had talked about earlier in a previous stream. Yeah, exactly, Joe. Maybe he can't see around those offensive and defensive linemen, and he's got to move around in that pocket to see the full field. And that's scary because if you have to do that, then you're putting yourself out. You're taking yourself out of a situation where you're safe, and putting yourself in a position that might be dangerous. Plus, the play is going on, so different routes are moving on. The players are further down their routes than what he's expecting. So it makes me a little bit worried about that, but. Yeah, there was obviously a lot of good stuff that I liked from both quarterbacks in this game. The left tackle,
win.
Yeah,
definitely a win for the day for the quarterbacks. Absolutely.
And Ellinger looked good from a perspective of but I feel like they called plays to cater to how they needed to use him, and that's another thing that kind of scares me about how defenses are going to scheme against the guy. Go ahead, Morgan. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. I have a suggestion for both quarterbacks. Eason needs to talk to John Elway because if everybody knows, John Elway left a little cross mark in the chest of every receiver he ever played for because the man really had that big arm. And then Ellinger needs to talk to Drew Brees because isn't Ellinger 6'1"? Is he 6'1"? Yeah, so is Drew Brees. And Drew Brees did it. So he needs to talk to Drew Brees, and Eason needs to talk to Elway, and Elway can tell him some of the fine points about taking a little off the ball, going at the right points. You know what I'm saying? Just a thought.
Yeah, but let's remember, Elway, he didn't take a whole lot off of them. The receivers just learned to catch those passes. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe that's what it's got to be with Eason too. I don't know.
So,
all right, guys.
The tackle position, we were talking about. Sam Tebby played right tackle most of the day, and I think the right side actually did pretty good for the most part.
So
and it's the left side that had issues, and the left side it was split between Davenport and Holden, and I don't know. Now, obviously, we don't need a right tackle. Braden Smith is our right tackle, and he will be the starter. He was just out because of a couple nicks that they're wanting him to get healed up from, but he could have played if it was a season game. So that makes me kind of wonder. Tebby was having issues at left tackle during training camp versus certain speed guys like Teray and our rookie Quiddy Pay. So. And I said that when I looked at his film, and I did that film room breakdown on him, and I said, you know what? You get a tight end or something out there to chip him inside to let Tebby get his hands on him, and he's good. It's just he doesn't have that side to side movement in order to stop someone like that's got really high end speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind, guys. I mean, we had Chris Reed at center. He hadn't practiced the entire camp that I saw at center. Okay, so then we keep talking about chemistry and communication stuff. I have to imagine that was probably lacking a little bit, you know what I mean, just with the lineup that we even started with, let alone what we progressively went to. Because, I mean, I seen some combinations during the game that I didn't see at all entire training camp. You know what I mean? And so, so I mean, I'm not wanting to totally dookie on the tackles just yet, you know what I mean? I'm not making excuses for him because I was concerned, but I am sort of optimistic that let's give him another week, or two, and see how this thing, some people maybe come back and start building that communication up again. Yeah, well, like I said, I think maybe if we only had one replacement instead of 5 replacements, then maybe they'll be more cohesive.
Well, if it's me, they're getting drilled on that short shuttle. If that's me, they're getting drilled on that short shuttle all week. Because, I mean, that's where that short shuttle drill is where you get that kind of that lateral movement. Your guys who typically have your best short shuttle time are going to be the ones who your best pulling guards, your best left tackles. That's, to me, not to say, the hand size, arm length, all that kind of other stuff goes into it. But in terms of the foundation for that technique of lateral movement, I think the short shuttle drill is like the most important thing that an offensive lineman can learn. So I'm good.
I want to say something.
One last thing I'd like.
Go ahead.
Okay. One last thing on the quarterbacks. I just want to say mad respect to Eason, though, because you know what? He hung in the pocket, like Lawrence said earlier. He didn't get happy feet. He didn't. And I mean, in some of those plays, guys, I mean, I don't know. I didn't have a stopwatch on him or anything. But some of those plays, I mean, it seemed like the D-line was in his face within a 2.5 second window, which, as a lineman, we always expect that to be the clean pocket time, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Eason didn't get happy feet. He didn't get real skittish or anything. He hung in the pocket. And like you said, Lawrence, he delivered some really nice-looking tosses.
So I want to bring up 2 things. One, Alpha Wolf, you're right. Tebby wasn't perfect over there at the right tackle. There was a few times he got beat. I ain't going to disagree with that. I think he looked better at right tackle than at left tackle. That's all I'm saying. Now, and I think he played the right tackle a little bit better than what we saw because 2 of the sacks came from the left tackle, right? One of the sack came from when he did the rollout and there was just no time at all and the guy was in his face. I mean, he literally just got turned around and that blitz got him right in the face because of the blocking scheme that happened. It was a perfect defensive call for the play that they had drawn up. But now to your point about Eason and hanging in the pocket and not having any time to throw, that's one thing that has been a big thing. A lot of people still go back to their college not watching the games, and they're saying Eason holds on to the ball too long. He hasn't been. he holds on to it long as he needs to, but he doesn't seem to ever hold on to it longer than 3 seconds. It's like he's going through the progression and throwing it quickly. And that, I think, has, if you watch it, it's showing, that he's learning. He's getting through things a lot faster, and he's releasing the ball a lot quicker, which helps out a ton. I mean, Sam Ehlinger held on to the ball way longer than what Jacob Eason did in that game.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But also, he made good decisions when things fell apart. That's the thing. He might have held on too long.
Yeah.
But I didn't see him, like, pegging someone in the back of the head, trying to get a pass off, or putting it into tough coverage. I mean, also lines up with how did Colts Nation feel to be the first team to get hit with that first taunting call?
Oh,
well, I can tell you what Colts
and can't do this.
Yes,
I can tell you what
those refs were horrible. The whole game, those refs were horrible.
Awful.
I mean, you know what? You're talking about that penalty. I want to talk about that fumble that was recovered and returned for a touchdown, and the refs is like, dude stepped out of bounds. And I'm like,
they should have never blew the whistle.
No, they still, even after Frank Reich threw the flag, and they walked, everyone watching that scene, dude never stepped out, ever. That whole time, he never stepped out, and they're like, calls upheld. I'm like, you could have put a candy bar between his foot and the sideline. There was that much room.
But you know why they did that? They did that because they blew the whistle.
Yeah.
They shouldn't blow the whistle while the play is going on. And then find out what happened afterwards.
They whistled the play dead, and then, of course, it throws everything into like a tizzy. Stupid.
I'll tell you what, guys. I was there, and I'm not kidding you. These were definitely hot points, but the one that nobody's talking about, it was the third field goal, okay? The third field goal, I don't even know who was kicking it for Carolina, but that thing goes up, and, they showed 3 or 4 replays of it in the stadium. And I don't know what they showed on TV, but that ball was not made. And then you see both the officials look at one another, and the guy's just like, well, you're on that flag. What did you see? And then they sit there and signaled as good, and the place erupts. And after that, it was just like, the fumble, they lost their mind. But whenever that taunting call was done, it was stupid how loud that place got. And that's why Ehlinger had everybody was so hyped up by the second half that, every time the officials made any sort of call or anything, it was like, I couldn't hear them.
I saw that field goal on NFL Network. They didn't show the ball. They only showed the goalpost. I didn't see the ball go over. And the guy on the right, the ref on the right kind of went, he just turned his head and looked at the guy on the left. The guy on the left looked at him, and he called it good. And the ball went to the right. Yeah. How the hell does that happen? And then, it was horrible.
But let's remember, it was their first week too. So, let's just, everybody has their kinks and stuff to work out. And this taunting rule, the way I understood the rule, that was still misinterpreted and wasn't accurately applied to the Colts this last week. And Coach Reich saying that he appreciates that it was called. All I got to say is, Coach, because I wasn't appreciating it at all. Neither was the other 25, 30,000 people there watching.
Yeah, I don't think anyone here can say that there was one game that they agreed with every call the refs made last year. It's just it'll never happen, ever. But what I think, if there's a flag, they should most definitely have like someone in New York, at the home office, kind of look at it and make the call rather than someone there, because you never know what's going on. Something might be. Because, someone said he did step out of bounds. He did, and then took 3 steps inbounds before he grabbed the ball. So that's what I was saying. He reestablished himself in bounds with 3 full steps before he touched the ball. So that should have counted. And then going back to that taunting rule, Frank Reich, that was asked also on the presser that I posted up, and he said that he's not saying that he agrees with that specific call, because I don't think the guy was literally taunting the dude on the bottom. I think he was just showing emotion for making a great play. But apparently, he says he's glad it happened.
Yeah.
Because now him and all the players know what not to do, at certain situations. It's better to have it happen in a preseason so they know the rules and get a better idea of it than it happened during the season and, they get hit with a 15-yard penalty when it actually freaking matters, right?
May I, on that point? Now, I've noticed this. I forget exactly what rule this was. This was a number of years ago. It was a while ago. I think it might have had something to do with the celebration rule, where they were really, really, really hard on it in the preseason. I mean, any little thing, they would just laundry all over the field. You know what I mean? In all the games. And then when you got to the regular season, it was a little bit less. It was a little bit less and a little bit less. And it's like they're trying to establish, it's like, hey, guys, like there's certain lines here we're not going to cross. But at the same time, how do you balance that? Because we've talked about this, when you're in that locker room, when you're on that field, and how do you take, like LeMay, that was a great run. That was a great run by that guy. And you're coming in here as an underdog. You're undersized, quote unquote undersized, 5'8", 220, and you're dragging the pile with you. I mean, how do you not react to that when you're fighting for a roster spot, saying, "Hey, look, you know what? I'm here." How do you take that away from a guy? I didn't agree.
Taking
with
the
it,
passion out of football. It's ridiculous.
I'm willing to put $100 bet where anyone here that he did not get in trouble for that over with Frank Reich.
Yeah, I'm not taking that bet.
Good,
absolutely not.
That's BS, dude.
Frank Reich tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Good job out there."
Yeah,
they're morons. But my problem is, it's the other portion of it. It's 2 taunting calls. Where a guy just gets passionate that they can eject a player from the game. That's where we start getting into situations where referees or officials can control games by getting rid of star players because they make a great play. It's absolute stupidity, in my opinion.
Isn't this like the anti-Terrell Owens penalty?
Well, it's not just T.O.
Could you imagine Terrell Owens would never play? He'd be kicked out on the 3rd play,
But in my opinion, it's like, it's okay. You got a guy like Ben LeMay who makes an outstanding play. Anybody. If he didn't do that, I would, in the locker room, I'd be like, kind of like, hey, I'd be kind of scared of the guy. Like, what are you, a serial killer or something? Like, do you have any emotion whatsoever? I mean, because that was awesome.
Yeah.
But then it's I think it's meant more for the guys like Juju, dancing on logos. Exactly what you mentioned with Owens, going out and celebrating on the star and whatever. And it's like those kinds of BS kinds of actions that's where you get into this is ridiculous.
somebody on, I think it was on Good Morning Football, made the comment that, hey, these players need to play like they're professional. Remember Marvin Harrison? All he did was make a touchdown and hand the football to the ref, and you should act like you've been there before. You should act like you made a great play before. That's just BS. I mean, come on. You're having fun. The whole point of the game is to have fun.
Name another Harrison. There's almost no one out there that played like Marvin Harrison, especially during his time. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders.
But even Marvin Harrison said, we get paid to practice. We go out on Sunday to have fun.
Yeah.
So that's the way it should be. It should not be the no fun league anymore. They tried to cut that out so we can celebrate. Now they're bringing this in. What the hell?
Yeah. I got a question for the panel. Lawrence and I had our first thing that we really didn't see very well eye to eye on. So I was wanting to hear your guys' point of view on How did you guys see Ben Banigood's performance yesterday during the game?
I missed the name. What was the name one more time?
Banigood.
Ben Banigood, number 52.
52.
I do not remember.
He played the defensive end over the right tackle most of the night.
Interesting. I'm going to look that up now. Ben Banigood.
Yeah, I have to watch the whole tape again because I didn't get a great look at all of the defensive plays yet. So, because I was trying to watch the cornerbacks and safeties a lot, and the interior line, they were getting pressure all day. Everybody that was playing interior or tackle, they were the ones making the stink out there. So, I gotta look at the ends again.
Teray,
I didn't get that far yet.
Kimoko Teray did a really good job over there, over the left
Teray
tackle.
Really good.
Really good. Yeah, I mean, he was so good that he was making that left tackle false start over and over and over, because the guy could not get in position fast enough.
Yeah,
he made the whole team false start at one point.
Yeah,
everybody but the center.
Hey, that was us, guys. That was us, the fans. We were working hard.
I know it was all of them. It was all of it. Yeah, but the fans were great, and the booing they were mentioned on NFL Network. The booing on that fumble play that was messed up. They loved it. They were like, "Oh, it's so good to hear boos again."
Guys, I'm going to take a moment here to kind of plug myself. Make sure you smash that like button, because we're almost 50 minutes in. Smash that like button, guys. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Shout out to Stansberry, Nomadic, Brian, Wyatt Law, all you guys in here. Don't forget, if you got a question or a comment that you want read out, make sure you want read out loud. Use that link right below Ross down there for a blah 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 super chat. But also, yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff. Like I said, you want to join a panel at some time with us, or get early access or something like that, man. Join Patreon like these other, like everyone else on here is part of Patreon. So it's only $5 a month. Really, really simple, really easy. Doesn't cost that much. And that link is in there as well. Plus, as you saw with Joe and his shirt, yeah, you see my shirt, you see his hat, you see my hat. Yeah, I got a nice little setup here, merch shop. Also, well, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna play a couple of these. All right, so let's don't forget Newsbreak as well, because I get paid for that. All you gotta do is download
you're done
it.
with that, I am gonna answer your question there, Loyalist. I'll tell you.
This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh. Make sure to check out the Colts Law merch shop. The link is in the description of this video. There are a ton of high quality, reasonably priced items there that you can choose from. And all you got to do is just click one button and you can go and check out all these great merchandise items. I almost took Ross out just because I was looking at that. Go ahead. You said you was going to answer. You was going to answer Loyalist.
No, I think he looked good. I mean, to be totally honest with you, I mean, I felt like, and this goes back to, who knows? I mean, Frank Reich even said in that interview that the Law Dog had earlier, they were calling a lot of really vanilla stuff. What I saw from the right side of the line impressed me more than what I saw from the left side of the line, unfortunately. But I would be more concerned. And no, but they did have good pressure. I think they really did have good pressure. However that needed to happen, it doesn't always translate into sacks. I mean, when you got a guy like Buckner out there, you don't expect the guy to get sacks. You don't expect,
I'll be right
expect
back,
him
guys.
to
I just
plug
got
holes.
order dinner. Be right back.
You know what I mean? So you expect him to plug holes. And I feel like he did a pretty good job of doing that. I would be less concerned about Banigood right now than I would about calling something in cover 3 with that secondary. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, I mean, like I said, with that secondary, but that's, you're talking about the second and third stringers that were out there, not our normal guys. So that's interesting. It was, we got a rookie that was out there. Actually, both the Sean Davises were out there. Sean Davis, the rookie, only had 2 or 3 days of practice before he played in that preseason game. And then Sean Davis from Pittsburgh was out there right beside him for the majority of that game. I mean, Odom was out there as well, but that was our safety group that was generally out there. And Chachery, I think Chachery was out there quite. You saw actually a lot from Chachery during that game, but I didn't see a lot of either Sean Davis's, which is weird. And they both played, but you never really heard their names.
Yeah, I have another question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right.
No,
I was just gonna say I've seen Sean Davis where he sat there and put a nice laid the lid on one play, but he was sort of the cleanup guy. But you're right. I mean, you didn't see a lot from them. Isaiah Rodgers had a couple plays where he flashed, in the corner spot, but I mean, the whole secondary just looked a little bit. I guess it just looked like they were being reactive instead of proactive. I mean, it was like they were finding themselves to try to catch up a lot. You know what I mean? And a lot of the plays that you saw that were made were where they were still a little out of position. And I mean, so I think, you get the communication sorted out. And plus the Colts, they're always going to let that inside and those little short passes and then worry about putting a stop on them. That's always a hallmark for Eberflus.
Go ahead, Joe.
Joe, you're muted, though. You're muted, Joe.
Well, no, zone defense. I mean, and that's what you want from your zone defense. Mm-hmm. You'll give that stuff up, that crap up over the middle. And as long as the guy can tackle in space, you're good. Okay, the concern I have with that secondary is that Carey got burnt on that big play on the right side. It was first quarter. I can't remember who caught the ball. It was cover 3. It was obvious cover 3 because the right corner or the left corner, excuse me, was responsible for that entire quarter back there, and he just got burnt. So I'm more concerned about how that secondary can adapt to. I wouldn't call cover 3 if I'm them.
But I wouldn't say that Carey got burnt on that play either, because if you remember right, that play, the quarterback's rolling out to the right. I honestly, as watching it from where I was watching it, I thought he had already crossed the line of scrimmage, but Carey was in position, and then he drops off and comes at the quarterback. And then that's when the quarterback was like, okay, his guy's open, so he releases the ball. And I had to watch the replay to realize that the quarterback hadn't even broke the goal line.
Cover 3. That's cover 3. That's the down. I hate that. I hate that scheme. I don't like it because it puts too much on the corner, and if anybody spots that, guess what? You
need a really good corner. The only reason why Seattle used cover 3 so much during that Legion of Boom was because they had good corners to run that, And I agree with you, Joe, on that. But sadly, I think the Colts are going to run a lot of cover 3 this year. They ran a lot more last year than what they did the year before. So,
I had another question.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody notice? And because I didn't, on all of the pass plays, especially with Eason, were the running backs involved? Did they stop any blitzes? Did they get to chip the the guy coming off the defensive end coming off the left. Did they always run out so there would be so you can hit the running back on your last progression.
Yeah, running out into the flat. It seemed like to me that there was not a lot of chipping going on, and I didn't expect it either in preseason game because I expected vanilla stuff. They don't want to show that extra chip and that extra blocking edge, with a tight end helping out on the edge and stuff like that. I really believed it was more of a one-on-one type situation when it come to blocking, so they could better evaluate each person. You know what I mean? Rather than giving a guy help, you don't know how much do you need that help. So that's I think it was designed that way in the play calls.
One of the few plays where they brought extra protection in was that play to Paris Campbell. I mean, they brought in a tight end and stuff and gave them a little extra assistance. And I think that was, their solution to let him air it out. Was to sit there and bring in that extra help. But like Law said, I didn't see a whole lot of double teaming or chipping or anything like that.
All right, it's starting to get a little bit of dead air. What's up, Joe?
Well, no, I mean, I'm just the other point that with that is with your safeties, especially. So that might have had more to do on that cover 3 play. That might have had more to do with the safety, because as a corner, if you're responsible for that entire right side, that's dangerous. That's really dangerous. You've got to have somebody. So if he wants to go ball hawk that quarterback, who was obviously. And here's the other thing that I will mention about that. If you look at the strip sack of Eason and then the next series where Walker had basically the exact same protection breakdown, miles and miles on the right side. He took 2 steps up, threw the ball. Guess what you end up with? A touchdown. You ended up with a touchdown. Just by taking those 2 steps up before he hit the line of scrimmage. And all that, but then you start talking about where's the safety play, and so the safety play on that we haven't seen the rookie Sean Davis. He's only taken a couple, and I think he was playing center field on that play, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was playing center field on that play. So was that a situation where Kerry wasn't trusting, didn't have the communication with the guy playing center field to say, hey, look, I'm going for the quarterback because this guy's going to run?
Yeah, that was probably – you're probably right. That probably is a communication breakdown there, because generally in a situation like that, the safety would get a feel that the corner's going to run up, and they would roll out to cover his, over the top of his spot, and that's not what happened. So, yeah.
It's awesome. I'm sitting here listening to all the conversation stuff, and these are statements and comments and things that you normally hear in week 3 and week 4. And we're already talking about it. We're already talking about a team with basically two rookie quarterbacks, and we're not talking about them turning the ball over 3 and 4 times in a game. We're talking about the more finer details and stuff. So I think for a week 1 preseason, I'll take that.
And they're making good decisions. You can't control the blindside sacks because there's no way they're going to see it. Cam and Mac, both in the Patriots preseason game, got murdered. I thought Cam was going to come out of the game at one point because he took an ugly blindside sack. And when things did break down, they made good decisions, and they didn't go straight into the defense and get themselves killed.
So the only 2 throws that I was upset with when it come to Ellinger was the interception. Well, obviously the interception, right? That was one of them. And the other one really should have been an interception because he rolled out and to get away from pressure, and he knew the guy was breathing down his neck, and he threw the ball to a guy who was covered tight anyhow while he was on the run, and he hit the defender in the back. He did not have enough juice on that arm at all to get it to where he needed it to go. He underthrew that pass horribly. He should have just threw it away because he was already out of the tackle box. If he'd have threw it away, it would have gave him another down.
Did you listen Did you listen to him in his press conference? Because I thought he did a really good job of just being honest.
Yeah.
I was a little out of sorts. I couldn't, I wasn't thinking properly. Came back in. Once I settled down, I started getting it, and he did, and he did, and come on, we were at 15-3, and Eason got us the first touchdown. Ellinger got us the next touchdown and the winning field goal. And it's just not just the quarterback. These guys got the team fired up to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them did.
I agree.
And that's important. That's when it comes down to what did Andrew Luck always do? Don't give up, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
three interceptions in a Kansas City game and has to beat them, 44-42.
Lawrence, you don't want me to change my luck background, don't you?
No, not particularly. You don't want to stay part of this stream long, do you?
Hey, can you turn that new AC yet? Hurry up. So you'll be less able to yell at me.
Well, no,
I want to point out something.
Go ahead.
I wanted to point out something to you, Joe, that Gardaki's playground pointed out to us too. We're sitting here, we're talking about all these adjustments and stuff. Our defensive coordinator wasn't there. Our defensive coordinator wasn't, correcting these guys and coaching these guys. I mean, we had Kenny Moore playing the part of, assistant coach. You know what I mean? And so how much does that even come into play into that situation? I didn't even think about it because, I was like, where is coach? You know what I mean? I didn't even find out today that it was a COVID related.
That's a great point.
I never even, and nobody's talking about it because, we're all so absorbed in what we're seeing on the field that, I mean, we sit there and we talk about how these guys are developed, but the guy that's in their ear, the guy that's constantly giving them their main guidance wasn't even there. So, nice job, Gardaki. I didn't even think about it.
Hey, if we can roll out for a second, what's your thoughts on the quote on screen right now? A little bit of anger to the rest of the veteran defensive players in the NFL.
I mean, I wouldn't imagine because who did he play against? I didn't see the game. Was he against any first stringers or was he against a bunch of second and third and fourth stringers?
What the hell was the question again?
Sorry, I'm getting. Our buddy here decided to say it was actually kind of slow to me, to be honest, on the kid from the Chicago Bears. And I was wondering if this is going to light a fire under defensive players in the upcoming season.
Oh, yeah, Fields?
Yeah.
Well, that was – okay, he got away with a QB spy on that play. He got away with a QB spy on that play. And Jesse James, former Steeler, by the way, trucking it into – yeah, he got away. And he's sitting there looking like, did this really happen? Is this really happening? I got the whole half of the field. It was okay, what are we out here playing Little League?
Yeah.
Who was it
He
that
got
said
away
that
with it was a
last year?
QB spy that happened.
Was it
Who was
Sam
it that
Darnold?
said that last? Was it Darnold? I remember that it didn't. I remember it didn't turn out so well. Whoever it was, they made that statement, and all of a sudden, they had a bit of a rough year. Who was it? I can't remember.
Oh, you're gonna go that way.
Just one second, guys. I'll be right back.
I mean, that play in particular was kind of slow. You're looking at it wait a minute. This stuff's normally supposed to happen in 2 seconds.
Okay, guys.
I'm watching this in slow
what's
motion.
up? What's up, Martin?
I'm sorry. Hey, Lawrence, Loyalist, hey, Joe, and Too Funny, thank you so much. I've got to go. I got to get something to eat. I got to get to bed. I got a 6 o'clock in the morning work.
Oh.
But this has been a blast, and I really appreciate you let me come on. If you guys have a great night, and hey, go Colts.
Go
Yes,
Colts,
sir.
Martin.
Nice
Go
meeting you,
Colts,
Martin.
go Colts, man.
Have a good
Yeah,
one,
nice
man.
meeting you guys too.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
All right. Now it's just the four of us, and we got more of a square screen here going on.
Los Caballanos.
But yeah, I like Martin. He's a good guy.
I like people.
Yep. He's still a lot like a lot of us, where we don't really know a lot about, we all have to learn this stuff. The whole getting on technical,
Streaming.
streaming and stuff like that. Yeah, it took me over a year to get used to it. So, and
I'm still working it out.
yeah, it happens. I mean, we're none of us that we're on here today are in high school, you know. So
I know. None of us are living. Yeah, no. We're not doing that. We pay for this crap. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Brian says now we're all just a bunch of squares.
Oh, wow.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
Oh.
Hey, look at this skull right here. Come on, that's not square by any means.
That's more like
That's a Pez dispenser. What are you talking about?
That took 6 copies of his forehead to create
I believe
that.
it too.
I am such a bad person with Photoshop. I'm a horrible person.
Oh man.
All right,
But
so
no.
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm just saying, like, the Colts run a lot of. Last year they ran a lot of. They ran a lot of nickel.
Yeah.
They ran a lot of 4-2-5. They didn't run Sam linebacker. I think they might be trying to integrate some of that into their defense too, and vet a lot of this stuff out too. So when he was talking about how he ran a lot of vanilla stuff, it's because maybe they're trying to they've got some new guys on the team. I mean, they spent a first-round draft pick on Pay and Deo, for that matter, or no, second-round pick on Deo.
Yeah.
I mean, so, you're trying to get that pressure with that vanilla, and he was very, very open about this is an element of surprise kind of thing. And he reminded me of, and I hate to bring this up, is Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher, Dick LeBeau, in the sense that you have your base 3-4 defense. You never really know where anything is coming from. I'm kind of wondering. So the Eberflus thing was COVID related. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Okay. It kind of makes me wonder. It just kind of makes me wonder.
Yeah.
Like what they're really seeing in practice and what they're thinking about how they want to utilize this 4-3 this year.
Well, like last year, like you said, they didn't really run the Sam. They ran the Sam, their base 4-3 defense 30% of the time, and that's it. The majority of it was in your nickel and dime formations. But there is, and it's interesting because last year the person who played that is now playing the Mike, right? Now that Anthony Walker is with the Browns, they had to put Bobby Okereke there, and now Zaire Franklin and Matthew Adams was playing the Sam linebacker. Zaire played absolutely fantastic, I thought, in that position. He's been around for 4 years now as well. So, yeah, I actually like. Yeah, he was talking about Flus, Matt. I do want to shout out Raider Carlos.
I saw that.
I want to shout out Raider Carlos and Mick the dog. What's up, Mick? And he says, and we're glad Anthony is over here. And I bet you are, because he is a solid Mike. I mean, you got a heck of a player for a really cheap 1-year deal. He's going to cost you more than 3.5, I promise you, next year. The only reason why he did that was so that he's going to get more snaps because the Colts wanted to get more snaps with Bobby Okereke. And he wanted to be a full-time starter. As for he's going to play, you're going to get some really good ball out of him. Carlos, Guy, you're welcome to be in here. You're welcome to talk and hang with us. Don't troll, though. Come on, Guy. All right. I don't troll Raiders fans. So, and I could, but I don't. If you got something positive to say or anything, let us know. I'm all good about that. You know, I'll talk football with anybody.
You might have seen your post on Reddit.
He might have seen my post on Reddit. I mean, you got to figure, this is a stream here. It's not all Colts fans. The top guys here are Colts fans. But then we got the evil hated, and then evil hated number 2 right over here with the Patriots and the Steelers. So, you know, the only way it could be, we could have a more hated team on our stream is if we had like Tighten Up on here.
I got something for you, Carlos.
Or a Kansas City guy. You know, Kansas City guy. A lot of people don't like Kansas City fans today. I'll tell you that much.
Well, you know, I can appreciate the fact that their Super Bowl wins were 50 years apart. I mean, you know, how can you? Okay, well, you know, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. You know, the thing about that cracks me up is, you know, the guy that was their quarterback. I got an account on the Colts website, and my icon is a picture of Len Dawson, who was the quarterback for the Chiefs, and he's drinking a beer and smoking a cigarette on the sideline in Super Bowl III. You know, I mean, so I can appreciate you know, Hank Stram and all that stuff. So I mean, I'm a football. I love football, and it doesn't matter what team you're from or what team you like or where you're from or whatever. You know, but we're football fans here.
Exactly.
Every single one of us.
Absolutely.
That's our love. That's our passion. We don't care where you're from, what team you like.
I will.
We
double
all
down
just
on that.
respect the game. We just respect the game. You know,
Absolutely.
like I could wake up a Sunday. One day I'll watch an Oakland game. Next day I'll watch a Broncos game. Again, football is great because of these conversations we can have about it. You know that.
Yeah. It's the whole reason.
Helps to give a better understanding too whenever you're sitting down and watching a team that you're not used to watching on a regular basis. So.
Oh, absolutely. It also gives you a better idea what's in your division or what you can potentially play in the playoffs. You know, again, I think it's always a good thing.
The only problem is in today's age of social media, you got all these young guys out there that you know, they feel invincible because they can't be touched behind, you know, and you got old schoolers. Yeah. You got the old schoolers like us who, you know, we're fans. Yeah, we could trash talk if we want to, but at the same time, you know what? We understand that you're a fan of another team. It's all good. We can sit down and have a conversation. You know, we don't have to trash everybody. You know, so. Now, was it week 16? I think me and Ross is going to be having a little bit of.
Just said Easton that week. That's all. Just said Easton. You know, again, that's all I'm saying. That we've always had a tricky time with pocket mobile quarterbacks. You know, just generally. You seem to draw guys in, and then all of a sudden your quarterback comes out of the backfield and gets an easy 6 yards. You know, one of my biggest contentions with last year with our defense is they always struggled against those 6 yard games where they would just pick up that first down just because we were concentrating so much on everything else. No one was watching the rollout. So again, Eason and what's the other kid's name?
Ellinger.
Yeah.
Ellinger.
They're both not slow guys. You know, they can make a move. They can get that 6 yards for you, extend that drive. So, again, one of the big things I want to see from my team is how they deal with quarterbacks like those.
Yep. Yes, I did see that fight with the Rams and Chargers. Oh, I didn't see the whole fight, but I saw that clip anyhow. You know, but where the one dude was talking all the smack, and then I mean, come on, why are you gonna be talking all that smack in front of like 4 guys right there? I mean, you know you're about to get your butt whooped.
They're thinking it's going to land them a job somehow.
What? I mean, come on, man.
I know.
That's just going to put you on social media, and you're not going to like how it's going to turn out.
It's going to be a circus in your locker room, and here we go. Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and that's another thing I got to say about the Colts.
Ooh,
you don't hear any of that kind of crap coming out of Indianapolis.
No.
Even with the thing with Pittman and Wentz, Wentz was like, hey, you tied to that number or whatever. You know what I would have done if I was Carson Wentz? I said, okay, you're not going to give up number 11. Number 6 was available. Well, that's Pittman's old number from college.
There you go.
USA. I would have taken that and been like, hey, look what I got, buddy.
I gotta ask you, am I ridiculous where I don't care about the numbers thing? Am I ridiculous?
It was a little
you're already
bit
enshrined.
Yeah, the number thing. I do have a question. What number does Jalen Hurts play?
I don't even know.
Isn't it number 2?
Yeah, that's what I've always thought was ironic.
You gotta be kidding me. No, that's just a bad look. No, that's bad. No.
I think that was a shot at Eagles fans and all that.
Maybe,
when Wentz was like,
yep,
that's fine,
2.
I'll be number 2. So
maybe it was because he's pretty damn smart. He is a really smart guy. He's sharp.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have noticed something. Mr. Carlos, Raiders fan, hasn't said another word in chat. He just came in, said something, and left. Got his 5 seconds of fame. Congratulations.
Deuces. Your quarterbacks weren't a number of wins your team's gonna have this year, okay?
Ooh. I'm not gonna say much because I actually like Carr as a quarterback. I like their running back. I think Jacobs is a beast,
Mm-hmm.
and they got a good wide receiver over there. I'm not overly fond of their defense.
Nope.
No. I do like them plugging Leatherwood into left tackle, though.
Yeah.
How many years do you think they got until they're an actual contender?
Let's see
I'm
here.
thinking another 3 seasons.
Hold on.
They're dangerous. But...
Hold on. How long's the head coach got? 9 years left on his contract?
No,
I just don't see them having the depth or the discipline. It seems like Oakland does Oakland things. The Raiders they tend to burn out towards the end of the season. And last but not least, it's like there tends to be discipline problems in-house. I know, is that something they're working out with contracts ending? But it just seems like you start seeing penalties. Like you start seeing guys getting taunting calls and things like that. When is Oakland going to start seeing those results?
I was about to say
since the 70s, dude. That's been there since the 70s, and they're still playing football like it's in the 1970s. And not for nothing, but the Pittsburgh Steelers were still guilty of that into the latter part of the 2000s.
Yeah.
Really.
That Oakland owner's haircut is just amazing.
Hey, mine ain't much better. I mean,
you want to talk about discipline in the Raiders? You want to talk about discipline in the Raiders? Antonio Brown was a perfect citizen until he became an Oakland Raider. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Oakland turned Antonio Brown into Antonio Brown.
thing I don't understand about Oakland, it seems like every couple of years it's like, okay, we're going this direction, and then all of a sudden it just seems like they make a course change or whatever, and then all of a sudden let's get rid of all of our offensive line and go this direction. And I'm just not understanding. I just don't understand. It just
changes from week to week.
I just realized I said Oakland, and that's been how many years ago?
I know.
It's
so hard.
Wasn't it L.A. and then Oakland, or Oakland and L.A. then Las Vegas? Or how many times did they switch between Oakland and L.A.?
Twice. They went from Oakland to L.A. to Oakland and then to the Vegas.
Okay. So
it's the Oaklands to the Las, whether it's Las Vegas or Los Angeles.
So they shouldn't be called the Raiders. They should be called the Las Vegas Hopscotchers or something.
Okay, no, I know the Raiders name in Las Vegas because the house always wins, right?
Right.
I mean, if you really think about it, because I used to live out in Reno, don't play slot machines, kids. Just don't. if you're gonna pick up gambling, either learn how to handicap football games or like play poker or something. Just don't play slot machines, But I mean, that was a big reason I think why they pursued that, because they pursued that Hollywood Park deal that the Rams and the Chargers eventually got with SoFi. That's the Hollywood Park deal has been on the table since the mid '90s. They were trying to figure out what they were going to do with that space. Oakland, you ever been there? No, it's not a fun town. It's not a fun town to be in.
Well, I mean, it'd be kind of like going to Detroit, wouldn't it? I've heard.
Not quite as bad, but pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I don't mean to trash Detroit, but I've been there, and that place scares me.
All the money's in San Francisco. They closed down an Air Force base in Oakland.
Trying to go into a DC game. Oh.
Yeah, that's not a fun town to be in either.
Isn't that the murder capital of the world?
It was at one time. I know that.
Yeah. That's our nation's capital right there. That says anything for you.
Yeah.
That's why scary, Indiana.
Yeah.
So this is Mark Davis right here, right next to Gruden. That is a haircut.
You got how many millions of dollars? Like billions of dollars? Like,
so stupid how much money he has. The certain ownership, like the owner of the Cowboys, has had a hand in every single transaction and move. Very interesting. Certain people have made a lot of money off of teams moving out of different cities.
Well, of course. I mean, because then you start talking about, okay, then why did the Rams go from L.A., because they couldn't get a stadium. This goes all the way back to the L.A. Rams moving out of L.A., where, they were playing in the Coliseum, which was built for the 1928 or whatever, not 28. But it was built, the Art Deco, it's way back there with the Olympics, and you're playing in, this old stadium. So they moved the team to St. Louis. And then this Hollywood Park deal that they could never get figured out because that's an old mob hangout. You know what I mean? It was an old racetrack. I mean, that nobody wanted to let go. So where do you put this stuff? And that was the problem that they had in Oakland. It's like, where do you actually build this new stadium? Where? There's nowhere to build it, because if you look at the geography in Oakland too, it's kind of hemmed in by hills. It's kind of stuck on the side of that bay. So there's really nowhere to build it. So how do you get that done? Do you shut things down for, a year and then play games that San Francisco 49ers didn't want them there? Or do you play games at Cal? Or do you play games, at Stanford Stadium? Or how do you make that work?
Whatever you can.
You guys think there's any legs to the Bills team moving?
No.
Bills?
No. I watched the GM interview after they finished up the quarterback contract and stuff, and I mean, he didn't totally, nix it, but he was just like so confident. Just was like, no, we're not going anywhere, guys.
I don't see the.
I mean, he didn't say it, but he's like, this is just a tactic. It's part of doing business.
Yeah.
You got to show somebody else to be afraid of before you can start getting the wheels going in the right direction. The thing is once they lost LA, that's where every team was threatening to go for the longest. Now they got two of them. Got to find another state that can, be a good, at least a reasonable threat.
So I want to talk a couple more things before we end up ending this, because we've been almost an hour and a half now. No, actually, I did not watch Trevor Lawrence. I'm sorry, Mick. I don't know if these guys have or not. But that's not what I was getting ready to talk about. I want to talk about PFF because PFF had 2 rankings that I thought was a little bit eye-raising. Eason was the highest-rated quarterback from preseason week 1 with like a 95 quarterback rating for PFF or something like that. Jacob Eason was. I was like, wow. And then the Steelers. PFF ranking on them. There was a lot of worry about, their offensive line, how it was going to turn out. And your rookies ended up being the number 1 and number 2 rated PFF offensive linemen in week 1 in the week 1 of season. So what do you think about that, Joe?
I was high on Kendrick Green. I had him on my board when I did a draft. A mock. We did a mock draft way back. This was in, I think, March or something. And he was on my board. Mm-hmm. Him, Leatherwood, Kendrick Green, Leatherwood. I wanted Leatherwood really bad, but I wanted to wait till the second round to get him. I can't believe that Kendrick Green fell to the 3rd round. I can't believe. The only thing I have a problem with him is he doesn't. He's got to work on getting his legs for bull rushes. Other than that, I mean, he is exceptional in space. He's great. And I think with Harris back there, being able to be a quote-unquote, I hate to bring this name up, but a Le'Veon Bell type back who can do it all. The guy can do it all. He's a great addition. I think he
Sorry
really
about that.
performed well, but I think he needs to get his legs under him when he's facing a bull rush. But I do agree with that. I couldn't believe he ended up being a Steeler. It was him or Leatherwood that I had those 2 on the top of my board.
A lot of Colts fans wanted Leatherwood as well. So I mean, he was a well-liked offensive lineman. So
especially with where we were drafted at the time.
Yeah.
Hey, again, it was weird for me because we actually filled needs in our draft during the Patriots draft because Bill Belichick usually just sells out the first couple of rounds and grabs a bunch of like 4th or 5th rounders all the time. I was actually excited when we grabbed Barmore and we got Mac Jones. I was more interested in like a Trey Lance or who was the other kid, Justin Fields. I wanted more of a mobile QB, but again, Mac Jones is definitely a talent that can be used adequately. So, shockingly, I was actually happy with our draft.
Yeah, I actually liked their draft too.
I like the Mac Jones pick. I really do. He looked great.
How was your week or day after the game and stuff? What's your media like there? The Boston media and stuff about the whole quarterback.
They all want him to start right away. And again, our media market here is very short-sighted. As soon as they don't like something, and so the problem is that our media is a bunch of dinosaurs. Like, they don't like different. They don't like change. They like slow, boring pocket quarterbacks. Cam was the absolute opposite of everything they wanted in New England. So for the last almost 2 years, all they've done is heap a whole bunch of garbage at Cam Newton's feet, saying, oh, he's going to be a problem in the locker room. He's not a leader. He's a fashion icon. He's this, that. But not one of them actually got in touch with anyone who played with him in Carolina or anyone that has actually known him personally to say, no, again, he dresses flashy, but that's his personality. That's just who he is. But at the end of the day, he's a great leader, hard worker, who's just taken a ton of punishment because Carolina just did not give him any support for a ridiculous amount of time. And he carried that team on his back.
I agree with that.
I think he would have had Super Bowl rings on his finger if he was with a better franchise. That's, again, he was an amazing talent, and I just don't. My dislike for the Boston market, going back to Mac Jones, is they want this kid in so bad that they're willing to risk his future development on to make their stories work, and that bugs me.
My take on that is, though, the way I look at this, and I understand exactly what you're talking about, Ross. The way I look at that situation in New England is if you look at the, $140 million that they spent in free agency this year, to me, it smacks of they set that team up for a rookie quarterback. The tight ends, the two tight ends that they grabbed, the running game, the ground and pound, the going back to the, hate to bring it up, but the Gronk and Hernandez days to a point.
Mm-hmm.
They set that team up for a rookie quarterback, in my opinion. So,
absolutely. But you're right, because it's set up best of both worlds. Cam is bread and butter is tight ends, and then for young rookie quarterbacks, that's going to be the easiest dump-off passes for them. So you're looking at a win-win situation here. Cam, bridge quarterback, 1 to 2 years. Matt comes in when he's ready and developed and can take over the starting job, or at least fight for it.
All right, guys.
Screw around doing it either.
It's been an hour and a half, and we're starting to wind down a little bit. At least I am right now. I'm
Yeah, you guys have had a day.
Yeah.
You guys have had a damn good day.
All right. So
I do appreciate being here, and I do appreciate the conversation. It's always a pleasure. Man.
Oh, it's always great having both of y'all on here. It's good to have football guys to talk with. So, and I appreciate everybody that was in the Mick the Dog. Thanks for coming over and checking us out. Appreciate you. Along with everybody else, Nomadic Brian and Matt Stansberry and everybody. I'm sure going to miss a whole bunch of people, but I appreciate all the chat that's been in here. Don't forget to hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. All right. But I got to go because I am tired and I got a meeting in the morning. So thanks again. I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. We got Ross down here. We got Joe right there. I can't do the whole finger thing, but that didn't sound good.
One in the what? One in the what?
Which one you want? Which one you want?
Right. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
All you guys.